from New York, which is the site of the lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, which is going to take place at the ungodly hour of almost 10 o'clock, which now has made it a completely television event, not an event for children any longer. It'll be preceded by 2 hours of NBC programming, some of the most boring acts you will get to see. You can sit through it; you're good. And then you'll see the tree. You'll see the tree go on, and that, of course, is if within our lifetime allows us to have the opening, because within our lifetime that has now pulled off 3 riots in New York, is trying to pull off a 4th one, this time at the site of the lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. So I doubt that they're going to be able to do it. I think my money's on the New York City Police Department, which even when I show you these clips that we're lucky to have Ted back in one piece, along with Rob. They were almost sacrificed to the crowd tonight. But they were over. I guess you were with a group. You were with a group that's going to go eventually to the lighting.
That
Ted or
that's right, Mayor.
Because they're about the News Corporation. News Corporation is about 4 blocks from the lighting of the tree. You got to go about 3 blocks north and about 1 block east, and then you'll be 30 Rock. And so that would be likely that they would stop off there to give Fox a hard time. But before we get to that, I have behind me. I just wanted to show you what's going on in Israel and how, in fact, the Hamas strategy and the Biden strategy are now one and the same. They seem to have gotten together completely. I showed you last night the article in the Wall Street Journal saying that the strategy of Hamas was to delay and disperse. In other words, to get as much time as they can get from the pounding they were taking and move their people to places where they'll be allowed to, or that they will be, no matter what Israel does, Hamas will survive. Now, they got a head start on that, obviously, by Qatar giving sanctuary to their worst criminals. Qatar has the leadership of people. Qatar must have about 4 of them. Another 2 are in other countries where they're being protected, and 2 are on the Sinwar and Deif are on the ground in Gaza. The interesting thing about Sinwar, which should give you pause about the exchanges that are taking place, is Sinwar was in prison probably for the rest of his life, and he was let out in 2011 by the Israeli government when 1,200 and something Palestinian, mostly terrorists, were let out to obtain the release of one very brave Israeli soldier. You do release 1,200 for one, and it really does raise the question. I got the emotion. I got it, and the emotion is strong. You're saving a very, very brave soldier. You're saving a beautiful little child. But at what cost? I mean, as a president, as a prime minister, as a premier or whatever, your obligation is to act like a wise, like Solomon, right? So there are certain things that you should not be able to be emotionally driven into that can destroy your people. And this practice could destroy your people. It was a mistake to do 1 for 1,200. You know it's going to lead to other kidnappings. There had been others like that before in the past. You don't see kidnappings happening. You didn't see kidnappings happening in the Second World War, or you didn't see them happening in the Vietnam War or whatever. This is something peculiar to the way Israel reacts. And there's a lot of praise for the way in which they protect their people. It's the opposite, actually. By doing this, they're losing more people. If you look at the 2011 situation, of the 1,200 that were released for one person, within about 3 years, 6 murders could be attributed to 2 of the people that were released. So already you have 6 lives that were lost that would not have been had these people not been released for the one life that you saved. Now, Sinwar led the invasion, right? I mean, would it have been as good? Would it have happened without his genius or his thinking or whatever? And of those 1,200, what kind of estimate would you make of the number of Israelis that were killed by them in order to get the one person out? 100, 200, 300? Probably something like that. And then second, it created, again, a practice that is followed, which puts Israel in a defensive position. They may very well not achieve their objective in this war because they took the delay. And by taking the delay, they allowed Hamas to move its people to the south, north, south. Khan Yunis is the big city in the south. Rafah, you hear about, that's the entry and exit point to Egypt. The only one I think that Egypt allows. Now they have an entry point to Egypt, but that Egypt does not allow Palestinians in. The Republican candidate for president, Nikki Haley, wants to allow them in, but the Egyptians and the Jordanians don't. So you go figure out, is this really an office she should be running for? She wouldn't get elected in Egypt or Jordan because they would be smart enough to know that you don't take Palestinians in because they've all been brainwashed to kill you. But she isn't smart enough to have figured that out, or she's a panderer. And this sounds like a good thing to say. I'm just shocked that she's supposed to be the one with the foreign policy experience. It obviously doesn't matter when you're sucking up for votes, right? So what has happened is Hamas was sort of organized around here, right? Well, as the days have gone by, they have moved a lot of people down into the south, and Biden is already using as a way of carrying out this strategy advice, and it's more than advice. It's very, very strongly worded. You better conduct yourself better in the second half of this campaign. You can't be doing the things in the South that you were doing in the North. Now, I don't know what it is they were doing in the North that violated anything. This idea that, and it's outrageous that Biden would play into that, because that helps create the propaganda. It helps to underscore the propaganda. When the president of the United States is telling his ally, I'm not happy with the way you're conducting this war. And you step back and you look at this in any kind of fair way possible. The Israelis have gone to great lengths not to kill civilians, and Hamas has gone to great lengths to get them killed, so they get big numbers. Now, how do you expect them to destroy Hamas if they don't actually end up killing civilians? Because Hamas will hide behind the civilians. So you can't say you agree with Netanyahu's purpose, but make it absolutely impossible for him to achieve his purpose. It's absolutely impossible to achieve his purpose if America doesn't use its strength and suasion to get the leaders out of Qatar so they can be eliminated. America can't be telling them, don't use the tactics you used that were successful in the North and the South, when all the people that they have to eliminate are in the South now. And because you forced Israel to take delays, they had the opportunity to do it. Now there's 2 more days of delay, which is 2 more days of fleeing south. The line, I'll draw the line for the next time we do this, but it's basically right here. That's the line. And of course, there are ways around it, and that's what they're doing. And and then I'm sure they're not all in Khan Yunis, which is kind of the capital of the South. I'm sure they have dispersed into many areas, so it's going to be very hard to find them. And then just how long are they going to be able to carry that on if and when they get back to war? So America has supported their ally, Hamas, and made sure that Hamas survives. This is as perplexing as Obama giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the biggest supporter of terrorism in the world, without any concern for the fact that they used that money to kill Jews and Americans, which they did. But he just went ahead and did it, and nobody questioned it. Then, of course, Biden has done the same thing with Iran. He's given them hundreds of millions, and he's got $6 billion, we think, sitting in Qatar, unless Qatar has moved the money over, because a lot of other money has moved over to Iran. Plus, he's given hundreds of millions to Hamas. You say, oh, no, he hasn't. He's given them to the Palestinian Authority. Yeah, he's given them to the UN Relief Agency, which is virulently against Israel, thinks Israel shouldn't exist. Some of its members come right out of Arab or Islamic extremism. And it is well known that it takes care of Hezbollah and Hamas. Whenever the UN is sending things into Syria or Lebanon, in the case of Hezbollah, or Gaza, the first pick goes to the dictators, which is as it would be, right? Hamas controls Gaza. Even if the UN Relief Committee was honest, which it isn't, it's totally pro-Hamas. But even if it was, they wouldn't be able to stop Hamas from taking it from them. And Hamas obviously doesn't care about the civilians, or they wouldn't be shooting them when they were attempting to escape to the south. They were shooting them even though they had white flags. And they put them in front to make sure they get killed. And there's no question that they want to get as many civilians killed as possible to give Israel, a public relations problem. And it works because you've got a guy like Biden telling Netanyahu, don't use the same tactics in the South that you used in the North. So just please understand, for future reference as this goes along, the United States of America is not an ally of Israel. Or if it is, it would be better if Israel didn't have allies. They'd be better off with just enemies and straight up fight them. But it's not a good idea to have an ally that wants to give $6 billion to somebody that wants to kill you. Hunter Biden, of course, is in the news again. Hunter is playing a game with the House committee that I don't think is going to result in anything other than him being held in contempt. He says he's willing to testify before the committee if he can testify publicly. Well, of course, no one's been allowed to testify publicly before that committee, including all the Republicans, yours truly being one of them, because they take a deposition before they question you publicly. So they're prepared to question you publicly. And it's been a universal rule that led to like a prison sentence for a while for Bannon. I don't know what happened to that. I think it went away, but a few people went to prison. Navarro went to prison. And so there's no way the Republicans are going to back down on that. He knows that. So this is a game, right? I mean, the wise thing for him to do is to take the Fifth Amendment. The amount of evidence about him is monumental. He would have to try to give an innocent explanation of what happened. He would have to probably commit perjury 1,000 times. He'll set a record for perjury during an investigation. So the wise decision would be, don't testify and make their case even stronger with false exculpatory statements. So I don't think he really will testify. I think this is a ploy. They knew when they offered to testify and insisted on public, the committee would come back and say, no, 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 no. They knew that going in. So they're in that stage right now. Now the issue will be when the committee issues the subpoena for testimony on the 13th of December, without the proviso that it'll be public. Will he show up or not? If he doesn't show up, I am certain he'll be arrested, like the Republicans were. I mean, there's no, I don't see anything in Coomer or Jordan that that deals with the circle of the golden circle that the Democrats have, where certain people don't get prosecuted no matter what they do, including treason. I think they follow the rule that people get prosecuted based on fair standards. And if Republicans were treated this way, Democrats are going to be treated this way. So that's what I think will happen. Let's see if we can now take a look at what this crowd is like. And we'll get an idea. You'll get an idea. These are people in New York. I don't know if they all come from New York. You'll get an idea of how erudite, sophisticated, well-dressed, clean, and what wonderful use of language New Yorkers have. I will attribute what you see to a school system that's been controlled by a communist union for the last 30 to 40 years, where no one really got an education. And you will see that on great display now as Ted goes out and really wants to find out if they know what they're demonstrating for in any kind of detail at all, which is a fair question. So let's watch Ted Goodman in the streets of New York with his friends. Do you want to narrate a bit, Ted?
Yeah. What you're seeing here is the protest outside of Fox News. More News Corporation. You see the sign there. That's
the overall corporation. Those are the studios of Fox.
Well, and notice the Christmas tree. So maybe they know. They figured.
You think they're dopey enough to think it was that Christmas tree?
That's even dopier. I thought maybe they figured, look, the Rockefeller one's covered.
Yeah.
We'll head over to
one
News
Christmas
Corp.
tree is as good as another.
Yeah. But so that's what we showed here in this video, and then we'll now come back to you here, Mayor, and then we'll play maybe some more of our very nice conversations.
Right. Who is that?
I will not condemn our Zionist Nazis. Guys,
Is this an intellectual conversation?
that's all we want to know. Will you deny
You're discussing the philosophy of Zionism.
on October 7th? That's it. That's what we're asking. We can cover other
Yeah, I hear it on there.
issues. I am
Have
simply
the audience here?
trying to cover. Come and talk. Rob, bring the camera.
I'm right on you. I'm on you. Yes, I can.
Sir, will you put say that? Look at that. That's assault, but I'm not going to call him out on that. Guys,
Stolen indigenous
October 7th. That's it. That's all I want to hear.
Glad you weren't
You guys
campaigning.
denounce.
They seem to like you.
We'll play some. We'll get some clips. We'll get some. We got a lot of good footage, right? So maybe we'll pick out a few of the. We'll pick out some of the better clips and play those.
Can you summarize what you found or saw there? And were they within our lifetime people, or just a smattering? Of they organized group, like the group that remember the group that had people going around stopping them from talking to you?
Not
A couple
very.
weeks ago?
I wouldn't say they were very organized. Less organized than the one we covered for WABC. These protesters were very. Look, they're very angry. You could tell. They're very angry.
Were they angry?
I don't think they could articulate. The reasons for their anger, other than they'd use the same buzz terms, right? Occupy, and those.
You can't get them over being angry by telling them that nobody's occupied.
right? They're not even willing to. They won't hear you out. They just shout over you.
You know, I hate to see you. State is not good for your health. There's no reason for this. They're not occupied. The occupation ended in 2005. Your protest has already been successful. You got Israel out of Gaza. See Gaza right here? This is not part of Israel. The soldiers had to invade. When you invade, that sort of suggests you don't occupy. Would they get that? Are they smart enough to get that or not?
They won't have that conversation. What's interesting, Mayor, you know, the one question I asked, and I started asking it to a point where, you know, I kept asking them what happened on October 7th. I didn't even characterize it. I didn't add any words, right? I very open-ended, right? And
they got angry
to a person, they wouldn't answer the question. They get mad. Other people would say, "Oh, he's antagonizing you. Don't answer the." So even the question alone sets them off.
Right.
What does?
Well,
and
either does they don't know, or they realize that their whole protest is illegitimate, because this whole thing started with brutal, unbelievable, unprecedented acts of barbarism by the organization they're supporting. This never would have happened had Hamas not broken the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, invaded Israel, and gone to residential communities, which is what kibbutzes are, and killed innocent civilians. The soldiers that were killed were almost, in this case, it's just the opposite. In the case of Israelis, when they have to take on Hamas, they're going after soldiers, and the civilians put in the way, and therefore they are collateral damage. Here, the purpose was to kill civilians, and the soldiers were collateral damage because they tried to interfere with it. So it's a totally different concept. One is the act of terrorists, and the other is the act of a country defending itself against a group of people that it has to eliminate if it wants to survive, because they have pledged to destroy them and shown the capacity and the willingness to do it. So if you're the president of that country, you're not doing your job if you don't eliminate the people that want to eliminate you. The only thing I question, as I told you, not the emotion, because I don't know how I would feel if it was my child. I'd probably be hoping the child gets back and not care about anything. But the answer for the country is you can't be doing these deals and expect not to lose a lot more of your people than you're saving. I mean, any one of these deals that you do, the minute you let these people go, they're going to come back and kill you. And the people they're giving you back aren't people that are capable of killing anybody. I mean, these were just very innocent people. Well, I haven't seen a man yet that was let out by Hamas. Maybe they have, but I haven't seen one. Not in the deal, just women and children. So they get no reinforcements for the IDF. And who knows what's going to happen to the men, or what has happened to them. I mean, and when the hostages are returned, it should give pause to the people that are protesting. Well, they're returning a 9-month-old child, and we're protesting for the group that took a 9-month-old child, kidnapped the child, and kept it underground for 4 weeks. Some of these people, if not all of them, were suffering from malnutrition. One young lady, the young lady who's part Irish and part Israeli, Hand, I think her name is, she can hardly talk. Her father says, in order to understand her, he has to put his ear next to her mouth. And she was like that. I tell him what happened. Because when she was running from place to place, the people she was with told her if she was in the closet or the back room not to talk very loud. And she spent hours and hours and days locked in confined spaces like that. Now, when you hear that, how do you go out and protest for these people? I mean, you hear that. Nobody made that up. That little girl's too young to make things up. She's too young to be as duplicitous as the people who are protesting. Or do they not know? Do they not care? Do they not, read or watch television or process facts? Are they just a horde of people that are given one emotion and wound up like an automaton, and then they just move ahead? They sure looked that way to me, Ted. They looked to me like those were not complete human beings. They seem to be acting more like something else other than human beings.
A lot of them. It's as if they.
I think you might have had more help if you were rustling cattle. Talk to them more.
If they don't, they kept just getting angrier and angrier. I have a feeling a lot of them are the same people that were out during the riots of 2020, right? Where they're not even maybe that closely associated to anyone that's impacted by this, right?
Soros has already put money in for this. And there's a very rich couple from California that's put in millions to organize these around the country. So there's nothing spontaneous about this. This is as spontaneous as January 6th was. The only thing is, I don't think the FBI is involved in organizing this. They were involved in organizing January 6th, it appears. Yeah, but I think there's a good representation of the left-wing groups that are. But Soros is the biggest contributor to those groups. I mean, he supports them on a day-to-day basis. We wouldn't have them in such numbers if it wasn't for a self-hating Jewish person like him.
It's interesting. And when you see these protesters, a lot of them do seem on the younger side. There's definitely an education component here. I don't know if it's a lack of education or at home they're not, the parents aren't.
Well, do they seem like they're students or kids just stay at home and don't do anything? I mean, just
you're right. Or young adults who of college age or 20s.
No. This is a purpose for. And were they Arab or
that's
Islamic,
the thing.
or were they
tough to say? Of course, because a lot of them wear masks. They cover everything but their eyes. That's the other thing, right? If they were so confident in what they're saying, right? I'll stand there and tell them on camera what I believe, right? I'm willing to. Almost to a person. I guess I saw a couple faces, to be fair, for the most part, completely covered. Right? They yell. They can't give you a response. Here's the sick part, Mayor. Some of them seemed to justify the actions of October 7th, right? And they try to justify it by, I'm sure you can imagine what, the things they'd say, 1948. It's sick, though, right? Because under no circumstances can you justify kidnapping of children?
Well, they just ignore it. I mean, they just ignore it as if it didn't happen. The press ignores it as if it didn't happen. And whenever you hear discussion of children, all you hear about is that the Israeli army has killed a certain number of civilians, and then most of the rest is left out. Like they were put in front of a battery of guns, or they were put in front of a battery of soldiers, but
they were warned 24 hours in advance. Israel tells these folks, like, hey.
And they were shot if they left.
Yeah.
I mean,
by Hamas.
By their own people, who, of course, treat them like, you want slavery? Well, you got it. Hamas holds the people of Palestine in slavery, although every poll that's been taken so far shows that well over a majority of the people of Palestine support Hamas, something like 2/3. So the idea that the people in Palestine are like ready to revolt against this terrible, oppressive dictator, it's just plain wrong. They either support the dictator or they're willing to live with it. And because they share with the dictator the same hatred of the Jewish people. They're as anti-Semitic and as viciously anti-Semitic as Hamas. They're treated, they're taught that in school. We saw a video today, I don't know if we can find it, where these two young girls who looked to be about 4 years old were being taught to recite that you should kill Jews, you should kill Jews, you should kill Jews, and then a little demonstration of how you do it. 4 years old. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Are you going to play more of your tape?
Mm-hmm. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now.
I'm listening on.
You're listening to your cell phone.
Yeah.
I got it. No, that won't.
No, I'm listening to the broadcast as people hear it. If that makes yeah. Well, we're gonna come up.
What are the people on television listening to? People watching us. What are they listening?
Whatever they choose to watch on.
No. What are they listening to? The tape.
Right now, it's
Yeah.
commercial.
Is that
Oh, they're listening to you right now.
I'm listening to these
no?
conversations.
No.
Yeah.
You're not understanding my question.
They hear the tape. They hear the tape. They hear the tape. You don't hear it here in person.
I got it.
Yeah.
So on television, they're seeing the tape.
Yes, and they're hearing it.
Or on their computer. Now, why can't I?
But I was hearing you guys talking.
Yes, they're hearing us right now. We're on the air. Yeah, no, that's fine.
So I'm trying to figure out how I can listen to this. But
Yeah.
Why don't we put it on and we'll see?
Yeah.
Because our audience should get a chance to see this because it'll give you a sense of who and what these people are.
Yep.
These people are all gathered in front of the Fox building. It says News Corporation.
Yeah,
That's
we'll play this clip again.
overall corporation. They actually just a few days ago put up their own Christmas tree, similar to what Rockefeller Center does, although it's quite a bit smaller.
So this is outside News Corp on 6th Avenue.
When we were just arriving.
All right, when you're back, we're back to you, Mayor. While I'll get the next clip ready. It's
All
gonna
right.
take a
Well,
second.
that was them gathered in
take a
front of News Corp, using the Christmas tree as sort of the point of protest. Would you
Yep.
say that was it?
Talk to him. Yes.
Yeah.
It was the Christmas tree or Fox, because they have protested in front of Fox before or Newsmax, and they go to the conservative stations and protest.
I presume they were probably hoping to get coverage.
Yeah.
Which I imagine they were.
Yeah, I mean, all they do is make fools out of themselves. Stop the occupation. It stopped in 2005. Uneducated nitwits.
And anytime we tried to say anything to them at all, they would just shout you down with some.
So you're in favor of baby killers. Nice. Who the heck educated you? Wonder what their parents think when they see them out there. or are their parents Islamic extremist nut jobs?
That's right. And we're going to get this next clip queued up. It's just going to take a second. So we'll come back to this in just a minute.
Right, that video clip that we just viewed, we were not even there a minute yet. We had just arrived.
So to give you a sense of how Hamas operates, they have given up now probably about 60 hostages. Only one American, which is a disgrace to Biden, that the biggest, strongest country on earth can't get its people back because nobody respects him or fears him. Not only have we not gotten our hostages back, we're not even told where they are, who they are, what's happening to them. We do know that the youngest hostage, who is a 9-month-old baby boy, has not been released. So they're continuing to keep a 9-month-old baby. That's who they're protesting for a group that's keeping a 9-month-old baby in tunnels. And we do know, I guess, from some communications that the baby is being moved from place to place because the different locations are given. The baby's name is Bibas, Kafir Bibas. He was originally with his mother and father, Yidan and Shiri. Don't know if he's still with his mother and father. Don't know really if they're alive, although they leak out information about the baby, giving the impression that the baby is still alive. And one wonders, then why wouldn't they have given the baby up quickly? They gave up a lot of women and children, but they kept the youngest. They kept basically an infant, so they can torture the infant. And of course, the UN says nothing. The UN holds a thing the other day about how Israel is doing inhumane things, and ignores completely the rape of women in Israel. The Hamas animals coming over the border, heading for the kibbutz, which is which are residential, and going in there and pulling out the women and children, raping the women, beheading people, just doing things to desecrate bodies. It was designed for the maximum amount of shock and terror, chopping heads off, mutilating bodies. Well, after the person is dead, continuing to chop off body parts, so that so that you put the population of Israel in the greatest shock possible. The children who have been returned are a testament also to what animals they are, including the young lady we told you who was having a difficulty talking. Others, the difficulties are being kept a little closer, I guess, to the family. But these children obviously are going to have difficulties, maybe forever. Who knows? The celebrities have pretty much all gathered around Hamas, which again gives you a sense of how truly vapid they are. Airheads, silly sheep that follow along with what is expected of them, or what they decide the truth is, and then they stick with it no matter what. Great example is Cynthia Nixon, who ridiculously ran for governor of New York. She has joined in the 5-day hunger strike, but she's only a 2/5 supporter of Hamas, not full supporter, because she's only going to join in for 2 days.
Mayor Giuliani, several news outlets are reporting that Hamas says the 10-month-old baby is dead. Netanyahu, of course, is trying to find out what the truth is, because sometimes they like to terrorize. Remember when they showed a film of a girl as if she was alive and everything was fine, and then the next images.
They've done that in two situations. They have reported that that somebody was dead only to have that person turned over later. But the two people they did that with, they had used them in video clips to try and frighten the Israeli people. They had both of those women, young women, explain how they should be released and how Israel should give in to the demands of the kidnappers. I don't think Kafir has been. I haven't seen any video of him.
So Hamas is also claiming that little Kiefer, if I'm pronouncing it right,
Kafir, yeah,
Kiefer's brother, 4-year-old brother, is also dead.
Oh,
And their mother, Shira, is dead, Hamas said in a statement.
and we're going to leave the father out, Yigan.
I don't see anything that Hamas said on that.
They probably killed him right away. I think they did away with the men pretty quickly because they're harder to deal with. He's probably been dead for quite some time. But I mean, they've been reporting on the whereabouts of this child, sort of tantalizing people with moving this child around. Another thing that's absolutely disgraceful. The other day, the poor excuse that we had for a president in front of a group of out of control, insane Islamic extremists, like the Attorney General of Minnesota, Ellison, apologized for saying that he didn't consider Hamas's estimate of the dead people to be accurate. He didn't believe they told the truth about that. And he was in fact referring to a specific incident. It's the hospital that originally was blamed on the IDF destroying it. And a number of 500 lives lost was given. Now, it turns out that hospital was destroyed, conclusively determined, even by their side, by an errant rocket from Islamic Jihad. And that the number of deaths, well, there may have been none. So what the hell is he doing apologizing when in fact Hamas did lie about the number of people that were dead? And they do lie about it all the time. They lie about, in this very situation, they have lied at least twice about someone being dead in order to get a terrorist effect out of it, and the person was alive. God willing, they're lying about Kafir. But he apologizes because he is a pathetic panderer. God, imagine if he were a prisoner. He'd be doing everything they wanted, probably be licking the floor for them. Does he have every character flaw that it's possible for a human being to have? It's unbelievable. He twice he caves into these people and he says, I should have thought and should not have questioned the accuracy of what Hamas is saying. Did somebody tell me you're sort of entitled to question the accuracy of an organization that your government has determined after long and lengthy investigation is a terrorist organization? Did anybody ever tell them the terrorist organizations, by their very nature, don't tell the truth? And by the way, they're not terribly insulted if you say they're liars, because they're trained to be liars. And particularly the ones that are communist trained are trained to be liars. It's, from Marx to Saul Alinsky, lying is part of the bag of tricks of communism. It's encouraged. But he went ahead and apologized to a group of politically connected, out of control, anti-American, pro-Islamic extremist lovers of baby killers, which is who these people from Minnesota were. And Ellison is no innocent. Ellison Ellison has quite a history as an activist and a person who hates white people. And He's a bigot, a racist. Oh, what else is he? And then he's got a son who's on the city council of Minneapolis who voted to defund the police. Minneapolis, for all intents and purposes, almost doesn't exist anymore. There's so much crime there. A large part because of his son's defunding the police. I mean, they were having a hard time dealing with the situation with the number of police they had during the Floyd riots, where they disgracefully gave up a precinct, which that's a day that will live in disgrace forever for the child mayor that they had, who reminds me kind of like the same kind of cowardice that Biden has. Give up a police precinct? Might have been one of the things that triggered all of those terrible, bold, and very vicious attacks. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with you momentarily. We can put this away now, and we'll get.
Body is an amazing chemical laboratory. You give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry.
Get 35% off your first order by using discount code RUDY.
All right.
Well, it's great to be back with you, and we want to see maybe a few more of these clips, so that you get a feeling for what's going on. And maybe while we're doing that, Rob, we can check and see what's going on at the tree lighting. Is there any demonstrations? Is there any way we can see what's going on with the tree lighting?
Look into that.
There's Ted in the middle of the crowd. Look at him.
This is
Who is that guy talking? Who's that guy talking about?
So this is video. I'll let you listen in, folks, to the video.
They don't want me to talk. They're stepping on my shoes. What the fuck is this talking about? No, they're not that nice. No, it's fine. But I'm not doing that to them. Now they're of course I care about people dying. No, we don't want anybody to die. We don't want people dying on any side. No, someone stepped on it. Someone stepped on my foot. So I would rather they not do that. That's all. I just don't want them stepping on my foot. So, again, their response to October 7th, their response to October I'm getting pushed. Don't touch my fucking shit. I'm not touching your shit, and you know it. Whoa! Holy shit! Wow, that was not. All right. Oh, okay, let's go. Whoa! Whoa! That's on camera. I'm not a litigious individual, but these guys are. Now, guys, easy. This is America. I am not. Guys, this is America. Yo, walk the fuck. I don't look American. What do I look like? What do I look like, buddy? Hey, buddy. I don't look American. Whoa! You pushed me. This is all on camera. We got multiple people. You're good. I know you're good. They're not. Get your people in line. You need to get in line. You need to leave. I am leaving. I just wanted to have a conversation. Take your loss. I didn't lose. Take your loss. Yo, I'm worried about you. Don't get hit by car. Don't worry about me. I'm very blessed. I'm blessed to be here. American Inside Editions here. Guys, nobody here can answer.
Very, very profound degree of ignorance.
That's
and their vocabulary seems to be limited to 4-letter words. They probably they don't. I don't think they teach English as a subject in New York City public schools run by the Communist Teachers Union. I don't think they teach. I don't think they teach any language. You know, you don't really have to speak a language anymore. Whatever you say, you're allowed to define any way you want.
That's right. That's right. So
if you want to learn a language, you can. If you don't want to learn a language, I mean, you can grunt.
That's right. That's right, Mayor. And so, you know, we had one question. Will you, not even will you denounce what happened on October 7th? I started asking, what happened on October 7th? What happened on October 7th?
Well, do you think they don't know what happened, or do you think they can't confront what happened? Because in a way, there's two possibilities there. What happened on October 7th? I don't know. What happened on October 7th? Their heroes went and killed women, children, women, and did things like that. So in a way, I think there are two levels of answer to that. One is there are people that are dumb, you know, like the Jesse Waters group that you see interviewed all the time, you know, who's the president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, who, you know, what team won the World Series? The Brooklyn Dodgers, you know, that kind of thing. So we do have, unfortunately, in New York, a very significant number of very poorly educated people. You got to look at the standings that we dropped in the last 10, 15 years. We've gone to like 27th, 28th, 30th in the country. We used to be first. And it's almost directly traceable to, as we spend more money, our students do worse. And there's a reason for that. But that's, of course, the goal of the Communist Teachers Union. And there, I'm sure some of those people are from out of town, but I think probably the dumbest ones come from the New York City school system, which used to be the best in the United States. It's now pushing toward the worst. It isn't the worst, but it's pushing toward it. This is the second or third time you've been out there, Ted, and you don't come from New York. It's got to be a shock to you how stupid they are.
Yeah, that's right, Mayor. I'm right. I expected, and not this time because we had the previous experience.
No, but you knew
I expected them to quickly say, "Of course we had Hamas. Yes, we denounce Hamas, but you know the Palestinian people, yada yada yada." But they don't even do that.
Maybe they would say what some of the radicals say. Hamas has a perfect right to do that because of what Israel does to them.
And you know what? That's what they were saying when I ask what happened October 7th, and they respond with, well, what happened in 1948? What about 1951? You know, when they say that, what happened before that? That's them justifying what they know occurred on October 7th.
Around that time, they got thrown out of Jordan because they were killing everybody. So, balance of nature. You saw the ad with Dr. Howard, but here's my jingle for Christmas. Jingle bells, jingle bells. This is two fruits. I already had some fruit today, but I'm having more. And what happened?
Two fruits and two vegetables.
I cannot believe that somebody may have. Rob, did you steal my?
And be sure to visit www.balanceofnature.com and use that promo code Rudy, RUDY, for 35% off. That's 35% off. There's no way they're giving 35% off of these things.
Take advantage of it before they realize.
And what a great gift for the holidays, right? I mean, you're getting this for someone in your life. You're not only showing them how much you're thinking of them, but how much you care about them and their health and well-being. You get them Balance of Nature, and you're telling them, well, I want you around for a long time. That's how much I love you. So what a great gift. And you're not only supporting the ones you love and your own health, but you're supporting everything the mayor is doing. Because every time you purchase one of these things by using the promo code Rudy, you're directly supporting everything the mayor has been doing here on America's Mayor Live. And of course, everything else he does day in and day out on behalf of this country and the future of the country, really.
So let me give you a few facts about the Christmas tree that is going on at the ridiculously late hour of 10 o'clock. The Christmas tree is a Norway spruce that was obtained in a place called Vestal, New York, which is approximately 4 hours northwest of New York City. It is gigantic. let me see if I have the actual size. I don't have the actual size of it.
Look it up real quick, Ron.
See if we can get the
What do you want the size? What?
the size of the tree.
Which one? Rockefeller?
Yeah, the Rockefeller Center tree. How big is it? My tree, which I don't know if I can show you tonight, but I'll show it to you as the Christmas holidays get closer. In fact, we may do a couple of shows near the tree to see if it inspires us to say very wise things. But we did that last year. We used our Christmas tree last year for several discussions, but it's just sitting to my right in the room over there, and it's opening up. We got it today, and it's sitting there now. And about I guess on Saturday we'll decorate it, and by that time the branches will be open, and by Monday we'll be able to show it to you.
According to this, the tree is 80 foot high.
80? Wait. It's 80 feet in the air?
According to the Rockefeller page, this year's tree is a Norwegian fir tree between 80 and 85 years old and stands at 80 foot high. It is 43 feet wide and weighs 12 tons. Comes from Vestal, New York.
Amazing. You know, when they put it up, I've seen that very, very often because I used to work in 30 Rock for a law firm named Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler. So therefore, I would come in the morning or at lunch hour, whatever, you'd see them putting it up. They kind of mess around with the tree a bit. You know how sometimes if you don't get a perfect tree, you have little openings in the tree, like a couple of areas where there's a big patch that's open. They actually move the branches around. They pull out in the course of moving it. They have a lot of extra branches. So if they get like a barren area, you'll see them filling in. You'll see it so that it has a very round shape with no big gaps in it. So they make it even prettier than it is naturally. It has a perfect, shape. None of these little openings here or here or here. And they they bring it in before Thanksgiving. Probably take about 2.5 weeks to decorate it. They bring it in about a week before Thanksgiving and work on it. And then of course they close the restaurant below. The restaurant below becomes an ice skating rink, and it'll remain an ice skating rink until about April. And people love to go ice skating there because they're right below the tree. They're right below 30 Rock. They're right below St. Patrick's Cathedral. They're right across the street from Saks Fifth Avenue, which has one of the great displays of whatever they do.
Which we're going to start showing off pretty soon.
Yeah, we're going to review as part of our Christmas programming. We're going to review the 5 or 6 most prominent store windows in New York and decide with your help which is the best. And I'm going to be extremely critical of those that get too far away from the theme of Christmas, because I'd like to know what holiday they're celebrating. It's the holiday of greed. This is a real possibility, particularly with the way they start celebrating Christmas in July, that Jesus, if he were here, would do to them what he did to the money changers. Right? Remember when Jesus, I think in the Gospels, lost his temper at one time. And I think it was a controlled loss of temper. And it was with the money changers who were right in the temple, in the sacred temple, selling things for exorbitant prices, taking advantage of people. And he just knocked over all their tables. One time that he made of showing a loss of temper at human beings. I mean, the thing that bothered him the most was always hypocrisy and taking advantage of poor people. So this is a weekend, I'm sure, where you're going to have hopefully some time to get your Christmas tree, start to get ready for Christmas. There's still several weeks, but You like to have your Christmas tree. Well, some people don't put it up until Christmas. I always liked it up before Christmas. And we'll be back over the weekend. Please watch Uncovering the Truth with Dr. Maria. We will be covering some of these themes and others. We always get great questions. And Dr. Maria is, of course, always brilliant. So, and then on Monday, 3 o'clock, WABCradio.com, and then 8 o'clock right here on whatever social platform you're on right now, you get us again. God bless America.